And welcome everybody to another glorious episode of the Put On Raiders podcast. I'm your host, Dwayne Douglas, along with Ryan Holmes. We are podcasting on the beautiful shores of the Pacific Ocean. Beautiful day out here in Southern California. PORSBR is my Twitter handle. Ryan Holmes is RHOLM22. A little emergency podcast, a little just roll out of bed podcast because Davante Adams has now been traded. But you got Rap Sheet, you got probably got Schefter on there too. Talking about the Raiders moving on yet another Hall of Fame player. This time from the Raiders to the Jets. To the Jets. Well, I believe the Jets have the same record as the Raiders, if I'm not mistaken. Correct? They're both 2-4.
That's correct. They took that loss last night to
They,
Buffalo.
they took an L last night to Buffalo. Somebody said that Greg Zerline was trying to go glass. I thought that was the greatest tweet of the night last night. With all the field
I
goals
thought
he
it was
had.
point shaving.
It could have been something, but him going glass was hilarious. But really quick, like just 10 minutes, kind of on here, just to talk about the situation here. I think when somebody shows you who they are, you got to believe them. And this is a move where he just feels only comfortable playing with Derek Carr or playing with Aaron Rodgers, clearly, because this is a move that makes absolutely no sense because we don't know the status of the quarterback for the Jets next year. And we obviously don't know that he's not going for to a team that has a winning coach or winning pedigree right now in the New York Jets.
They have an interim coach and Todd Downing calling plays. So let's look at it
Yeah,
from that perspective as well. So even if the Jets do have some success this year, there is going to be a change in the coaching staff more than likely, and there might even be a change at quarterback next year. So I don't know if this is a 1 year run it with Davante and then see if they can sign him in the offseason, but we'll see where they go. They don't have a quarterback on the roster behind Aaron Rodgers. So this might just be a 1 year play for Davante Adams and kind of see what's going on. I'd have a hard time thinking he's going to sign a long-term extension there unless Aaron tells him he's going to be around for the next 3 or 4 years.
yeah.
Um, I look at it more from the Raiders' perspective as well. This gives them, roughly $100 million in cap space next year. I don't understand Mark Davis's unwillingness to pay the salary. So it sounds like the Jets are paying the whole salary, and the Raiders, by all accounts that I've seen from over the cap, they're saying the Raiders are spending the least amount of cash in the league this year, which
Yep.
is unfathomable from an owner who's in a situation where he has cash revenues coming in and his franchise is valued at $7.8 billion. So the fact that Mark Davis decided to go cheap here and not kick in a couple of $1 million and try to improve that pick. Now, at the end of the day, it might not matter. It sounds like this is a conditional third round pick that can turn into a second round pick based on individual performance. We don't know what those clauses are to get to a second round pick, but by all means, this has to be a second round pick for the Raiders even to be considered to win out on this trade because you're moving on from a Hall of Fame player who you gave up a first and a second round pick 2 years ago for and gave a ton of money to.
Yep.
So we'll see what happens. Hopefully, Davante balls out and he hits those escalators or whatever to get to the second round pick, and the Raiders can get hopefully a mid second round pick here for Davante Adams at the end of the day. But this doesn't help them. If this stays a third round pick, that doesn't really give you ammunition to be able to move around in the draft and get the quarterback. And the whole point of moving on from Davante Adams at this point is to try to help yourself acquire quarterbacks. So this needs to be a second round pick for Tom Telesco and Mark Davis to have a shot at winning this trade.
And also, I'm happy to see that Devontae's healthy now from that hamstring. I'm really
It
happy
was
about that
healthy
for him.
last week by all accounts and just didn't play.
And
So
it sounds like from what I'm reading here from Diana Rossini that he's in the building per 7 minutes ago, so he was at the game. Um, he was ready to go. He's ready to go to be a Jet. So again, I see it in a different light as far as for his career. To me, it made sense to hey maybe take a poke at the Commanders, maybe take a
Buffalo.
Buffalo as a team where clearly, I mean, you had a front row seat to watch the greatness of Josh Allen. I mean, Allen to Adams would have been okay. Kansas City, we got something to worry about. But he wanted to go there. The schedule for the Jets is it gets a little tough, just like it does for the Raiders. But for me, for the Raider perspective, can I circle back on Mark Davis and I think Mark, I'm not, Mark Davis is who he is, whatever. Um, he doesn't have winning qualities as an owner because this is like, I'm not saying that, this is like a $3, $4 thing. I'm not sure. What was it, $15 million to pay Davante off to ensure that to pay the salary? How much was it?
At this point, I think it was closer to 11 million.
$11 million. So it's like that's a Garth Brooks concert. That's a Beyonce concert. That's like, what I mean? Like that's like, Charles Gambino, whoever you want to talk about in your stadium, not even a game day. Like you have so many events there. You have all these things going on. You claim you want to win. You talk about winning, but like that's not a move where you know, where like, you make if you want to win. Like this should have been a winning opportunity for them. Get as high a pick as humanly possible, and put yourself in a position where they need a quarterback, and then you take it from there. But this is clearly Mark Davis just being super frugal
Frugal,
when
yes.
to be kind, and you're not in Oakland anymore. Like you're not in Oakland anymore. Like this is no, you don't have the excuse of like being this. Well, we have people got to take the BART to the game, and the stadium has raccoons in the press box. Like no, you have a state of the art top five stadium in the league.
This is Mark Davis saving $11 million because his ego's hurt because Davante Adams doesn't want to play for his team. The money that the teams pay the players is budgeted prior to the season.
Yeah,
This money was already allocated to be paid towards the
towards
roster for
him.
the season. So it's not like it's coming out of some secondary fund. Like this money's already been spent for the most part. So what is Mark Davis going to do with that $11 million? It's probably not investing it back into the team this year. Maybe they'll use it as signing bonus money to pay some of these players they need to re-sign, the Robert Spillane's of the world, maybe Nate Hobbs, Divine Diablo, the guys that are going into free agency. But this doesn't help the Raiders be better in 2024, and it should help a little bit in 2025. But it also, what do you tell Christian Wilkins and Max Crosby when they say you just basically hand it away? And granted, Devontae didn't want to be there, and if he doesn't want to be there, you got to move him on. But to basically just okay, you want to be a Jet here, you can go be a Jet and just do whatever he wants you to do for him. Doesn't set a good precedent in the locker room.
No, I mean, no, I mean, it doesn't. But I mean, yeah, I don't know.
Again, they need that to be a second round pick. Otherwise, this doesn't look good for the Raiders organization.
And the Jets are in desperate straits, so like the Jets in this moment will do whatever they can to make it. Because they're not going to hold him back from getting from giving up a second round pick. If he's balling out, they've invested in the whole situation with him and Rogers, so they're going to let him do that. Some teams might have been like, hey, you know what? The hamstring's tight this week, right? So we don't have to give up that second round pick. The Jets are not going to do that. So it's just weird. It makes no sense.
Do they have a bye? Who do the Jets play next week? Or is because
Let's
I would
find
assume he's going to suit up and play unless they have a bye. He's Aaron Rodgers is going to be out there just giving him hand signals to run routes.
Jets schedule. Tomorrow. Next week is what? It's the 8th.
Yeah, October.
Oh, that's an old schedule. What the hell? Why would you give me an old schedule, Google? Like seriously. My God. Give me last year's Jet schedule. Jets. Let's see. The Davante premiere will be they lost to the Jets. So they play the Steelers on Monday Night Football, looks like. Oh, Sunday Night Football. Sunday Night Football.
That's a
Play,
short week for him to get in the building and get going, but I
sure.
fully expect him to be in uniform.
So they got just some perspectives here. They got the Steelers on the road. They have at the Patriots, the Texans, and they play the Cardinals. So that would be that. And there is no bye week. So but again, like they know the hand signals and everything like that, whatever. I thought last night's game, Aaron gave you some throws, but he also gave you some other stuff too. I don't know if they had the line play, but like
The offensive line is what they needed to fix.
yeah,
I thought it
so
was curious this morning that when I woke up, the first thing I saw was the Jets are trying to move Hassan Reddick. So once I saw that, I knew Davante was the next domino that was going to fall. So I'd expect Hassan Reddick to get moved in the next 24 hours too, before they make the
yeah.
Davante Adams trade official, so they can open up some additional cap room.
Yeah. But Davante Adams going to the Jets. Just a really quick emergency podcast for that. So I know Raider fans are so a lot of Raider fans are happy this is over.
Raiders
And
need a WR1 now because they don't have one on the roster. They need one in the draft next year too, or
give
free
me
agency.
hey, listen, I that's fine. Just give me that. Give me the under center first.
Yeah,
The
hopefully
signal caller. It's like the
this
signal
is the
caller.
year as a Raiders fan when the draft's here. The first three rounds should go some form of quarterback, wide receiver, and either offensive or defensive line, or
Yes,
maybe
amen.
corner you can throw in there. But they have to get the trenches right, and they need a playmaker outside, and they need a quarterback.
I'll say this again. Like this is like when you watch when you watch the Lions destroy the Cowboys, for 47-9. It's the trench play that's why the Lions are so good. Like that's one of the biggest reasons why the Lions are so good. They got a guy under center who can sling it, but he's a guy who has limited mobility. He can move a little bit, but he can throw. He's throwing from different platforms because the offensive line is so good. So go out there and find yourself a quarterback. Go out there and find yourself a Panay Sewell, and then the Raiders can start building from there. Anything else before we get because then later today we let's say we should have some more details on what's going on here with this move.
Yeah, we'll save the discussion of what the Raiders should do at center next year for the next podcast. But the Raiders center is definitely struggling right now.
Well, it's interesting though, Ryan. They do have a couple of guys on the roster who have experience playing center,
They do.
and some have, and both of them have pretty good tape playing center. So do what you want. I mean, do what you want with that as far as that goes. All right, Raider Nation. Davante is a Jet. He's on the way to New York to play with his friend. It was all about playing with his friend. It wasn't about winning games. The Jets will win 7 games and miss the playoffs this year, so you can pretty much book that as far as that is. And the reason why they lose is not because they're missing a receiver. All right. Anything else?
All right. Nope. That's good.
Have a good morning, brother.
Take care.
Take care.